Welcome to Silicon Scoop, where we dive into the latest tech news impacting the world. Join John Irwin and the Startup Coach as they explore the tech news that matters to you. Stay ahead, stay informed, and now on with the show.
We thought Washington's export sanctions had frozen China's chip tech in time, but Huawei just rewrote the entire rulebook to bypass them. If you think a chip's power is only about how small you can shrink its transistors, the next decade is about to completely flip your reality. So Huawei is subverting the U.S. chip sanctions. So blocked from buying advanced factory equipment to shrink transistors, Huawei unveiled the Tau scaling law and logic folding architecture. Instead of making transistors smaller, they're physically stacking and folding older legal circuits in 3D to match cutting edge speeds. This completely challenges the logic leadership of TSMC and Intel by shifting the definition of advanced tech from raw factory manufacturing to clever systems architecture. What do you think about this, John?
Yeah, I think this is cool. I think it's funny because with all the sanctions that have been brought, they were made to kind of slow progress for these companies, but Huawei has found a way. So let's talk about the problem Huawei is trying to solve, and then let's dive into logic folding. So modern chips have two fundamental challenges, and we kind of just talked about this in our previous episode there. Transistors under Moore's law are becoming extremely difficult and expensive to shrink, and data movement is becoming a bottleneck. So what semiconductor companies have tried to improve performance is by reducing transistor size. So they're now at 1.4 nanometer, I think. So while these dimensions are approaching atomic scale, the more you try to shrink, it becomes more difficult, expensive, and more power intensive. And at the same time, these modern AI workloads, they spend enormous amounts of time moving data between all of the components on the chip, the compute units, the memory, the cache, the network fabrics. And so a lot of engineers are arguing that data movement, not computation, is becoming the dominant performance bottleneck. And I'll ask if you agree with that after. So Huawei is proposing a solution called logic folding. So it's actually kind of similar to our previous episode as well. They're arranging so instead of arranging circuits in two dimensions, they're proposing vertically integrating logic, memory, and analog circuitry to shorten the communication paths inside the chip. So if you think of it like this, a traditional chip has a room, then a hallway, then a room beside it, then a hallway, then a room beside it. Okay? So logic folding is just stacking rooms on top of rooms. You eliminate that hallway. Okay? So you've got shorter, the information has to travel shorter distances. And so Huawei's claim is that future versions could deliver transistor density equivalent to 1.4 nanometer class technology by 2031. And just to kind of talk about this whole controversy, Huawei was blocked by using all of the latest and greatest technology, and this is how they came up with that. So what are your thoughts on this?
I think necessity is the mother of invention.
Yeah.
As they say, we got to build data centers. Everyone has to build them. We can't get these chips anymore. What do? Oh, we found a way to make them better. Overall, it's probably better for the industry. But as we get into the more concept idea of we're heading into a sovereign AI world, people don't want to believe it or whatnot. But, the U.S. government's going to have an AI that protects the U.S. and China's going to have an AI, if not just one, hundreds, whatever, for military, monitoring, communications, all these things. So from a consumer point of view, I love it.
Yeah,
because I think we're all going to get better. From a overall AI nation state race, China's doing some seemingly, we're getting information, we're not in China looking at it, but they're doing some seemingly amazing advanced tech things that seem to be leapfrogging what's happening here in North America. And I question who's going to be the leader in 4 or 5 years.
Yeah. Well, look at China's AI models, right? They're competing, if not surpassing at points, right?
Yeah, and people like that idea, hate that idea, what have you. And people will say, got to use this, got to use that. But, and I'm not pointing fingers at anyone, but OpenAI's 5.5 is $30 per million output tokens. DeepSeek version 4 Pro is 80 cents per million output tokens. So if you're using APIs to do it and one is 80% of the other, but it's literally 40 times cheaper almost, what would you do?
Yeah.
So think of this update like building a city where you officially run out of land. Traditional chip makers like TSMC are finding hyper advanced microscopic materials to buy tiny single story homes closer together. Huawei can't buy those tools. So instead, they're taking ordinary, readily available bricks and building massive interconnected 3D skyscrapers. So you get the same population density and efficiency just by building up instead of out. So we just talked about what TSMC and those seem to be banking on that 10 millimeter wafer in between where they stack the crystals, and that looks great. I don't know how this is going to compare long term, but these are expected fall 2026, including premium hardware packages, debuting exclusively in Huawei's upcoming flagship Kirin mobile processor lineup, extending into their SuperPod data center clusters. So this is happening as we speak.
Yeah, this is exciting. Yeah, I mean, this again, innovation is always exciting.
So while Western media is framing this as a sudden surprise, Huawei actually peer-reviewed this entire system-level thesis by formally presenting it to the global elite engineers at the IEEE International Symposium on Circuits and Systems. The framework wasn't built overnight to dodge recent laws. Huawei has been quietly running this parallel process since 2020, treating U.S. entity list placement as an architecture problem rather than a geopolitical one. And by deploying unified bus to attack data center latency, Huawei is taking a direct swing at NVIDIA's ultra-lucrative proprietary NVLink ecosystem, turning a smartphone hardware defensive play into an aggressive enterprise data offensive. So this is interesting, but stacking logic layers generates a massive concentrated heat footprints like we were talking about before, where the crystal stacking and we were talking about, and that layer in between avoids the 600 plus degrees Celsius needed to make some of these things happen. Without access to cutting edge high bandwidth memory and electronic design automation, Huawei risks hitting a thermal wall that architectural cleverness simply can't solve. But we say that, but tomorrow, we've solved this thing that we've never been able to solve before.
Yeah.
So Huawei just proved that when you lock a brilliant engineering team out of the world's best factories, they will simply reinvent the fundamental physics of how a computer chip is organized. It is a system-level stacking a legitimate substitute for advanced physics, or is Huawei just hitting a temporary coping mechanism? Drop your thoughts in the chat below, and will you be jumping on grabbing one of these? Let us know.
Tired of drowning in repetitive tasks while your competitors race ahead? Every minute you spend on manual data entry, scheduling, and routine processes is a minute you're not growing your business. Flowgrammer.ca transforms your workflow chaos into seamless automation. We build AI-powered systems that handle your busy work so you can focus on what actually makes you money. Our clients typically save 15 plus hours per week and see their productivity double within 60 days. Visit flowgrammer.ca for a free automation audit. That's flowgrammer.ca. Stop working in your business and start working on it.
What do you got going on, John?
Just plugging away, helping companies with government funding, attending events, probably startup drinks or Flowgrammer events. How about you, Craig?
Lots of stuff going on. I honestly don't know when this is going out. I have to check. I think it's going to go out in April. But there's all sorts of stuff going on. If you don't know about OpenClaw, it's the latest AI automation agent that's taken the world by storm in 2026. And OpenClaw Toronto chapter just launched, and we have all sorts of events going on. So check out openclawto.com. Our first demo night is April 14th. We have a Builder Cafe on April 10th. We have a bunch of other events. There's updates every day. We've deconstructed the latest 2 betas over the weekend that was launched in OpenClaw and what you should do about them. There's a bunch of articles over there. Go check that out. We're also over at flowgrammer.ca, where we do N8N automations. We run the Flowgrammer community and do Builders Hub and connectivity for AI and business automation agents. And for everything else, head over to TorontoStarts, where we hook up startups and investors at our Startup Investor Drinks. We do mentoring, we do workshops, we have a list of investors. There's a whole bunch of content over. You can also book me over there if you want a meeting with me to talk about whatever, help your startup. Check out TorontoStarts.com. But John, if people are looking for non-dilutive funding, where should they go and what is that?
Yeah, non-dilutive funding. We're talking government grants, tax credits. Come find me on LinkedIn if you have any questions. Right now is shred time, SRNED. But come reach out to me too. If you've got a startup, if you've got a company, reach out to me if you have any questions. And if they have company questions about their startup in general, where do they find you, Craig?
Yeah, find me at TorontoStarts.com. But John, just before we go, something's open right now, and it's closing May 31st. Thank you. Can Export. And what?
Yeah. So
what
if
should
you have
people
at
know
least
about that?
300,000 in revenue in the previous year, and you're looking to expand outside of Canada, reach out to me, and we can put together. We can talk about an application for Can Export.
All the links we talked about will be in the show notes wherever you're watching this. Thanks for watching, everybody. Leave us a comment, give us a like, give us a subscribe. We really appreciate it. Thanks, everyone.
Thanks, everyone.
Thanks for tuning in to Silicon Scoop. We hope you enjoyed this episode's dive into the latest tech news. Stay connected with John Irwin and the Startup Coach on LinkedIn and subscribe for more insights and updates. Until next time, stay ahead, stay informed.